Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today I have a mailbag, and I want to remind you guys to go ahead and hit the like button and stuff like that. I get reminded once in a while. That helps the channel out for whatever good that is for you. Okay, so in the meantime, I've got a bunch of great comments and questions to read to you. A lot of good education that you guys are dropping here on me, and I wanted to share it with everybody if you haven't seen the comments. Sam King says that Ben ANACS has a much different proof-like scale than the others, with difficulty compounded by the spelling abbreviations on different aged holders. UDM, or Cameo DMPL, on a soapbox, that's the early ANACS holders, the little white ones, is more similar to the PCGS DMPL and NGC DPL. DMPL on a soapbox, it actually indicates proof-like PL, or for PCGS or NGC. This is because depth of the mirror to earn DMPL is lower at ANACS because they have another designation that is above it, the UDM. In some cases, it could have to do with the lack of frosting as well. So sometimes it was not just the mirror finish, but also, the cameo effect that it would have on there. Now, if you bought that according to PCGS nomenclature, that's an expensive lesson because it's verifiably a gem proof-like, but no deep mirrors according to their standards. For future references, ANACS slabs have many proof-like types, mainly because they rate the depth of the mirrors PL, DMPL, and UDM, and then decide if it also earns a cameo designation, cameo or CD. Old soapbox holders that read Cameo UDM or CUDM are among the most coveted Morgans for the soapbox people. Don't crack it, sell it to someone for what it is, an ANACS MS65 DMPL in a soapbox. Might take a while, but you'll realize what you want. If you crack it, you'll lose that DMPL until it goes back to ANACS and you'll lose the soapbox premium. If you read this, all of this, I hope you take it all into consideration. This is one of the occasions where you buy the coin and the holder because the holder is as described. ANACS may not be the industry standard grader, but their nomenclature is more extensive. Sam, thanks for that comment. One of the things that was great about that was there's a lot of little bits of information in there that I was not fully aware of. The soapbox, the older soapbox, and the ANACS had a whole nother level. And one of the things that you run into when you are looking at graded coins over time, so the earlier ANACS holders, they call them soapbox, they're the small white holders. It's a little bit like trying to compare sports and athletes from one generation to the next, because some of the standards change over time. The rules change in sports sometimes. People make the comparison, well, if Michael Jordan had the free play where you couldn't hand check and stuff, he would have scored 45 points a game, stuff like that. So, which is probably true, by the way. So anyway, I'm just going to start a whole other thread of arguments with you guys amongst yourselves. Argue amongst yourselves. So, I'm sorry, I'm cracking myself up here for no reason. But Sam, thanks for the comments. It's good to know. I didn't realize actually that the early soapbox had also the ultra deep cameo, the UDM, ultra deep mirror UDM. So it's cool to see some of that. You don't see many of those early holders, and you don't see them with all that different nomenclature on there anyway. So hats off for pointing that out to the group. I appreciate it. All right. So this is from a video on unwrapping rolls of Morgan silver dollars that were purchased on eBay. GPTP 1017 says your customer was ripped off, and you should be using these videos to highlight these scams, not assist the scammers. Why don't we hear how much the customer paid for the roll of low mint state to high AU dipped out ugly common coins? I'll bet it was a lot more than it's worth. Old paper had a high sulfur content. No way that these coins would be still brilliant after all those years. Also, more often than not, these so-called original rolls are stamped with names of banks that never existed. Ask yourself why there's always a CC on one or both ends, but not in the middle. All right, so thanks for the commentary. I've addressed this before, and I didn't do it in that video, and partially because it was for the customer. that I was unwrapping the roll for. But I've talked to them about it, and I've talked to lots of people about it. Generally, like maybe 99.9% of the time, if you're trying to buy rolls of coins off of eBay, you're getting scammed. And I don't mean, if you're just buying unk rolls of wheat pennies but any of these rolls where you've got a coin on one end that's really rare and looks great, the rest is just filled with stuff. So this is something we see a lot. So if you see on eBay, if you look at some of these rolls, some of you guys are coin roll hunters. Let's break this down a little bit further. If you're a coin roll hunter and you go through, I don't know, 5,000 rolls a month, tell me how many good things you find. How many cool rolls do you find? Now let's ask yourself, you're an active coin roll hunter, and that's how often you see things. Now watch the videos on YouTube and tell me how often they find things, and then watch the guys on eBay and look at the guys who sell the rolls that have the CC dollar at one end or $2.50 gold piece at one end or something like that. And then look at the seller's auctions and see how many rolls they have that are like that. Rare find, old hoard, that type of thing. And just, ask yourself about the percentages and the chances on that. So I wanted to address that again. Thanks for the comment. This is something that needs to be addressed from time to time, because I get a lot of new collectors who don't understand that if you're buying that stuff on eBay, you are invariably losing money. All right, so I did do a video about coin fishing and whether or not we were doing something ethical or not ethical around here. MSTR2Sai, Mr. Tusai, huh? So this one is on that video. Hi, I'm a lifelong numismatist with 12 years experience working in a well-established local coin shop in my city. I used to be the guy who would do the regional coin show and for our shop, and have been harassed by several people over the years who believed we were deceiving people to pay more for coins that were intrinsic. We were paying. This is the funniest thing ever, by the way. I'm already laughing because I know what this says, right? They believed we were deceiving people by paying more for coins than their intrinsic metal value. Their core belief was that the one piece of metal was no different than the next, and that the coin collecting should be banned because it was a practice of deception. Just because a piece of metal happened to be struck by a rare design or date or any other attribute we would offer to customers to get people to pay more than the intrinsic metal price of the coin. This is fringe, but it's real. They would come to shows and harass dealers at their table and berate them as crooks and thieves. After watching your video, this does not sound unlike what I've experienced, but maybe not. And this but maybe not. But it reminded me strongly of my personal experiences as a dealer at shows with these fringe thoughts about ethical pursuits of coin collecting. After watching a number of your videos on your channel, ethics, blah, 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 you're okay, keep it up. Rock on, like the rock on, all right? So cool. So this is hilarious because I've never heard of this. Right, but I had never heard of a guy thinking that I was coin fishing, and I had never heard of coin fishing either. So there's that, right? So I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of that, but it was funny because I thought, well, yeah, I mean, people can make those arguments. It's like saying, well, why is one automobile more than the other if they're made with the same amount of metal? Why is one pair of shoes more expensive than the other if it's made with the same amount of clothing, material? So finally, we're gonna have some fun here with Jonathan Kentner's question. He's thinking about cracking out a coin and sending it to NGC. It says 1865 Fancy 5, and then he sent me, just the information on the coin, and so and it came back. All right, we're gonna take a look at this up close. So of course you can't. It's the PCGS TrueView. You can't make out, of course, any of the certain luster. I'm used to turning the coin right now so I can see it and let you know exactly what's going on there. But one of the things that I will say, this came back artificially, it came back questionable color. It didn't come back artificial. So I'm really disappointed on this in a couple different ways. First, I really want him to just say artificially toned. Just say artificially toned. The questionable color thing is a little bit strange. Now, I would tend to agree with them based on the color pattern and color scheme on this coin, that it looks like it has been retoned, right? And one of the things that you can see on this coin just barely, and actually I'm also disappointed they didn't mention it, is there are a lot of lines right in front of the Indian's head that look to me like cleaning lines. So once again, I don't have the coin in front of me, and so when you're trying to buy a coin like this online or somewhere and you have one flat image, it makes it really hard to tell what's there. So, but just looking at this coin, it looks to me like it's probably not an original colored coin. That's just my 2 cents from a single picture. All right, so I thought I'd give that a whirl. Thanks for sending it in. And thanks everyone for watching. Let me know how everything is out there in Coinland. And please consider subscribing and clicking on that like button. If you don't mind, I'd really appreciate it. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.